Dr. Keith Adams is the president of the CKA SAVE Project, a nonprofit organization designed to assist student athletes and the people who work with them through educational and professional development. He is a career academic and athletic leader with close to 30 years of experience on the high school and college level. He has won numerous championships and epitomizes professionalism. Coach Mike Franchise Francis is one of the most successful football and basketball coaches in the state of Maryland. He too is a career academic and athletic leader with close to 30 years of experience on the high school and college level and is self-admittedly a little rough around the edges. Both men have mentored countless student athletes, teachers, and coaches using their unique methods and approaches to leadership. Both men also share a unique and special friendship that was cultivated often through their unique perspective of life and leadership. Dr. Adams through his extensive educational background and Coach Francis through his life experiences. Can these two men share a podcast without driving each other crazy? Welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. On today's Odd Coaches Podcast, Dr. Adams and Coach Francis recap the NFL draft as well as discuss what the Packers should do about Aaron Rodgers. Welcome to today's show.
All right, welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am the Dr. Keith Adams, along with the legend, the icon, the showstopper, the main event, the reason why we are actually here, which is a shoot. The franchise himself, Coach Francis. How are you, sir?
I am fine, and thank you for the build-up. Way too much credit. I appreciate it. Enjoying my time off, just as you, I'm sure. Ready to get into this.
Yes, indeed. So we want to talk about the NFL draft and the NFL draft process, the pre-draft process, if you will. And I'm going to let you start because you got way more experience than I do about dealing with the draft as well as the pre-draft process. So you take it away and I'll follow in where needed, sir.
Hey, man, it's something else. It's really time consuming. You have to, dot your I's and cross your T's. And when you have someone involved in it, it becomes very, very, very time consuming, even more. So with my son, they played their last game at University of Maryland. That Monday, we were interviewing agents in December. So December 28th or something, if they were in a bowl or whatever. So we were interviewing an agent as soon as this season was over, and it's dinners, it's, come to the office, it's a lot of that. And once you get that straight, the training, where are you going to train? You got to train at the right place to get the right 40 time, to get the right, the right lifting and all of that stuff. And he had a little bit of experience when he went to the junior combine. They had the Army All-American Bowl junior combine in Texas. And, he came back to me and he was like, Dad, I felt like cattle. And there was a big article. It was in the Washington Post and everybody went crazy and he had over thousands of negative comments about it. But he was just being himself, telling the truth, like I raised him and you know him to be. Nothing's changed. He just felt like it was a lot of hoops to jump through. Hurry up and stand in line. The breaking down of you I commend the kids because the way they break you down, even if you listen to the draft now, they'll say 5 things he does real good, and then they'll run down a list of 11 things he can't do. And I'm like, why the hell did they draft him? That whole process is crazy. Why'd you draft him? He can't do this, can't separate in the break, can't close the speed is suspect, bites on a double move. Okay, every kid does. At some point, there's some issues, but it's just too much. I think they overanalyze because, again, the best quarterback of all time right now, who would you say is the best quarterback player?
Of today is obviously Tom Brady because he's got the hardware. And
what number was he drafted? Let's think about that.
I believe it was a 6th round pick as the story goes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then you got so many. The thing that the year he went to Seattle for half a season, they had 23 guys on the roster the year before when they won the Super Bowl that were undrafted free agents. So all the draft, we talk about the draft. How good is the draft? How good is the expertise? And I understand they're playing percentages, but shit, I play percentages when I'm at the crap table. You know what I mean? Right? So
yes, indeed. And that is roulette's my game of choice. As I reflect on that, and I definitely wanted you to open up with it because you have a personal stake in this. And for our listeners who doesn't know, AJ Francis is Mike's son. He played at the University of Maryland at an extremely high level and also played for several teams, including the Washington football team. And now he currently works with the World Wrestling Entertainment. And if you are viewing the A&E series, Wrestling's Greatest Treasures, and I might have gotten that wrong. He is the co-host of that. So again, understanding that process, and it's just that a process, it goes to the evaluation. And I always advise folks whenever I work with them to trust your process, trust your board. And as we reflect on now that the draft is over, who actually trusted their board? I actually am in the minority about the Chicago Bears doing all of what they did to get Justin Fields. I say that because think of what they gave up to get someone that did they actually really need them if they did their homework previously in terms of Mitchell Trubisky. How did that trading up work out for you? And you know my personal feelings about quarterbacks being overvalued and the interior being undervalued. I think the most important coach on both teams are the defensive line and the offensive line
coaches. Yes.
That's how I look at it. So I'm going to go from there and somebody from the Washington area. Joe Bugle had an incredible line. So the Washington football team, Redskins at that time, won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks, but the line pretty much was the same. So please let me know your initial thoughts on who picked right, for lack of a better term.
I think Chicago did okay. I was really I would say a returning Dallas Cowboy fan because, I didn't watch it the last year and a half, 2 years because I didn't like the moves they were making. But I thought they made good moves this draft. Like it was like to the point where I don't think Jerry had anything to do with it. Because Jerry's a fantasy football owner. He was the original fantasy football owner. Let's be he's nice. Oh, he's good. He runs fast. Let's pay him what he wants. Bring him to Dallas. Like it was kind of like that. Like how much money I have left? That's the way it just seemed like Jerry did. Jerry was always about the splash. Jerry's about the news. Jerry's about selling them Pepsis. In that stadium, them trucks that sit in the end of the end zones and the nightclubs. And Jerry's trying to fill that up. Maybe COVID.
A lovely stadium it is.
Yeah, it is. And I love it. But maybe COVID was like, hey, he hit that COVID hit. He had nothing else going on. Like, hey, maybe I need see if I can tighten up a little bit here. Let's see what we can do. But the fact that they drafted 3 offensive players and 6 defensive players, were signed. I say draft, but they have the signings after. But they only brought in 3 offensive players, 2 linemen and a receiver, and everything else was defense. And to me, it was what we needed. Defensively is where the Cowboys struggled last year. You can say what you want about Dak, you can talk about Zeke, and you can talk about that. But going back to you and the offensive line where the injuries were, 2 rookie tackles starting, things like that went on. Like you have to start inside out, as we say, just like with baseball or to me, basketball, you have to start inside out, and when you start inside and build your way out, you're good. So going and getting those linebackers, going and getting those D tackles, I think it was the best. I think the Cowboys, to me, and I hate as a Cowboy fan and as a Cowboy apologist, I think they did the best in the draft, in my opinion.
I am actually going to probably shock you and say I actually like the draft of the Washington football team. In terms of building, Ron Rivera is a certain kind of guy. And you can actually see that he actually has say based on what I saw them draft. They drafted a linebacker because they have a very good front 4 that they can actually rotate people in. So now they have moved back and now are starting to work on the linebackers. And they drafted guys that actually seem like, and I got to say seem, we don't know, like the kind of people he would like to deal with. One of the things that I saw was a video of their first round draft pick, and he was with his family, and he yes sir, no sir, what have you. But it was the interaction with the family. And we're both educators. We both saw with a teacher lens, that kid actually is probably like that all of the time, because the family reacted not in a overtly ridiculous way, but it was like, hey, we've worked for this and this is what's supposed to happen. So I kind of really liked what I saw with the Kentucky pick. I don't know if you picked up on that with your teacher lens, but that's what I saw. Please let me know what you thought about the Washington football team's draft.
I think they didn't pay a lot of attention to it, but going back to what you said, the way this kid's demeanor, this way he acted during that time, it meant a lot, and you can tell. Now, opposite of that, the kid from Alabama, well, we discussed that when they called his name and he just walked out of the room and didn't speak or say anything to anybody.
I saw it.
Waddle? Was it Waddle?
Said, oh, man, I don't know how that's going to work out. But again, if he's there to catch passes, I'm sure his ability to catch passes has not dwindled at all. But yeah, I'm sure there's a story behind that. But I think that's actually a good time to end this segment on that cat. And stay tuned for more of the Odd Coaches podcast after a brief commercial message.
Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project, is releasing a book this fall called Finding the Balance: My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. The goal of this book is to give greater insight into student-athlete motivation to improve student-athlete academic and athletic success through the lens of Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic journey, from being an underperforming student-athlete to an academic and athletic leader. This book is also designed to be a guide for student-athletes, parents, teachers, coaches, administrators, and anyone else who has a passion to help student-athletes succeed academically and athletically. You can pre-order your copy of the book directly from our website at www.ckasaveproject.org. This book is scheduled for release in the fall of 2021.
Welcome to the Odd Coaches podcast. I am the doctor. And I say that because Prince used to say that to Dr. Fink, so that's where it came from. So it has nothing to do with Julius Erving. It has to do with Prince and Dr. Fink in concert all of the time. And with me today, as always, is my partner, the franchise himself. I can't say it like Joey Styles, but this is Coach Mike Franchise. And Coach, how are we right now, sir?
Oh, doing well. How are you doing? How have you been?
I am living the dream, and I wish I could still read Word Up magazine. But in this segment, we are going to talk about the reigning NFL MVP, Aaron Rodgers. And quite frankly, he is a little upset with the Packers organization. I'd like to get your thoughts on how you would handle the reigning defending MVP of the league, who is 37 years old, sir. Please have at it.
Okay, so let's get a little. Let's set the scene a little bit here. Okay, all right. Aaron Rodgers, not surrounded by the talent like, say, Tampa Bay did for Tom Brady. Correct? Would you agree?
Correct. I would say that.
And this is not the first year that Green Bay could be seen as being a little shortcoming on surrounding him with the quality and the talent that he needs to be successful to be a super.
100% agreed.
So my biggest concern is why did this happen like right before the draft? Like, he's been there how many years?
A minute and a half. I do not have those in my notes.
Okay.
But he has been there some time.
But my point, all right, so let me tell you. He's the best quarterback I've ever seen live. Okay, I've never seen Tom Brady live, so I don't know. But I can tell you, sitting in the end zone and watching him as a coach, former player, former quarterback myself and everything, I'm watching this guy against my son when they were playing in D.C. and it was unbelievable. Like it was like a band director, choir director. This guy was choo 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 choo. Said gone, like, and just marched down the field. He picked defensive parts. I think he's top 2 quarterbacks in the league still. I don't think he has the support that, say, like we said earlier, Tom Brady has. He doesn't have the people around him. The running backs have always been, guys coming from somewhere else. And I just think the whole Green Bay, the Wisconsin way, and I don't want to get too deep into that. That's a whole nother story, okay? It's a whole nother segment. But this Wisconsin way and trying to keep Wisconsin a certain way and keeping the Packers a certain way, I think it hurts Aaron Rodgers. I think it hurts them. Now, it was good before. Like, you go get 1 or 2 receivers. Okay, you get a hard running back, and you can surround it. But football now is not that. Football now, you need more than 2 weapons. Football now, you need more than 3 weapons. Like, you're not going to be successful if you're not. With the way people spread it out, you got RPOs, you have all kinds of multiple layer reads. So you got to have talent at each level, like superior talent at each level. Long gone are the days where you can just throw anybody, to compare New England, to just get anybody you want to come in and play the New England way, and then you can win. I think we saw that last year, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yes, we did. So
yes, we did.
Some people are even asking, I'm going to ask you before you go, some people say Green Bay is doing him a disservice. Some people say Green Bay don't owe him anything. What do you think?
Well, my doctorate is in organizational leadership with an emphasis in organizational development. And one of the things that I'm fond of saying is yesterday's solutions lead to today's problems. And everyone tells you how they feel about you, not through their words, but through their actions. So let's look at what Green Bay actually did. They traded up to get a quarterback. They traded up.
They sure
to
did.
Get a quarterback. They made no significant moves during an MVP season.
At all.
Their play calling and their decision making on the field said, we don't trust you. They opted with the league MVP to say, no, we're good, let's kick it, and not put the ball in their hands. So what Aaron Rodgers said is, hey, you messed with me during last year's draft, so I'm going to mess with you during this year's draft. And at the end of the day, it's all noise, it's all smoke. Nobody's leaving that bag. He's under contract for 2 more years, and good luck with it. That's at the end of the day, he's got 2 years left on his contract. He's 37. Where's he going? So you tell me as a football guy how this is going to work out, because if I'm Green Bay, I'm saying practices at this time, and let's see you miss a game check.
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from when it comes. Yeah, I can, but there's a couple.
I'm wrong, and I don't mind it because you're smarter than I am. With
but there's a couple teams out there. I might see what I could do to kind of get it, Aaron Rodgers. Like I really would. Like, I don't care who they have now, and this is not to discredit quarterbacks who are playing now. And I understand people have their number ones and all, and this is not to knock anyone. But if I have a chance to get Aaron Rodgers, right, unless I got Tom Brady, I think I'm going to try to get Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? Unless I got Tom Brady. If I don't have like a young guy I've already started that path to where we're rebuilding and training. And, if I got Jalen Waddle in Philly, I'm good. I mean, excuse me, not Jaden Waddle.
Jalen Hurts.
Jaden Waddle's on my mind for walking out the room. But anyway, if I got Jalen Hurts, okay, let's see what we can do. Let's put some people around him and see what he can do. Hell, Philly putting more people around him than Green Bay putting around Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion. You see the draft.
As well as the Jets.
Yeah,
Since when did the Jets become a prudent organization?
Yeah, that was the rumor last week, that he would rather go to the Jets than play for Green Bay. That was the rumor I heard. Someone close to him in his camp said that.
Again, everything you said to set up the segment was 100% correct. But at the end of the day, that's a large bag that he's got. They actually have talent. And if they made a tweak or two, they would be right back in it. And he's under contract. Everything is set up for him. And here's the thing that will surprise me if he moves. Where Brady moved to a situation where they were willing to move heaven and earth, Aaron Rodgers is a particularly interesting individual. And I can't think of any place he's going to be able to get away with the I'm Aaron Rodgers than Green Bay, Wisconsin, because he's a little prickly too. And I have yet to hear teammates come out and scream and holler saying, Aaron's the greatest cat in the world. I watched Jeopardy. He seemed a little standoffish in terms of his hosting of Jeopardy. So it's really easy to speak really loud when you've got this money sitting right here. Let's see you push that money to the table and say, nah, I'm good. I'm going to go somewhere else. And that's kind of how I see the Aaron Rodgers situation playing out, with him being in Green Bay and having the regular old press conference to say, I'm here to win the day and we're going to give the best effort. And tomorrow may not be. And the cryptic yellow is green and green is yellow press conferences, and go from there. But I'll let you have the last word on that. Being the football guy you are, sir.
Two things. You remember the press conference? RELAX. Remember he said that?
Yes.
That's number one. Number two, I'm going to propose a trade to you. Deshaun Watson for Aaron Rodgers.
We will slightly add this and hope we don't get off the air with our second lost episode. I am predicting that Deshaun will probably not play this year, as the legal process is real, and a delay is not a denial. But if I'm advising Mr. Watson, I will just deal with my legal circumstances this year and come back strong next year, if that's a possibility. And with that said, we're going to leave for a brief commercial break, and thank you.
Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project, is releasing a book this fall called Finding the Balance: My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. The goal of this book is to give greater insight into student-athlete motivation to improve student-athlete academic and athletic success through the lens of Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic journey, from being an underperforming student-athlete to an academic and athletic leader. This book is also designed to be a guide for student-athletes, parents, teachers, coaches, administrators, and anyone else who has a passion to help student-athletes succeed academically and athletically. You can pre-order your copy of the book directly from our website at www.ckasaveproject.org. This book is scheduled for release in the fall of 2021. We hope you enjoyed today's show. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. You can follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.